In 135 CE, the Romans under Tineius Rufus, governor of Judea, cleared the Temple Mount as a sign of the destruction of Jerusalem. The Romans expelled all Jews from the regions of Judea and Samaria, renaming the area Palestine. According to Tzipi Livni, they were all annihilated by the children of Israel during the attack on Jericho led by Joshua. Read Joshua 6. Actually, no Palestinian tribe identifies its roots in Canaan. Instead, they see themselves proudly as Arabs, descendants of well-known Arab tribes in the Hijaz, now Iraq or Yemen. Even the Canaan family from Nablus traces its origins to Syria. Some Palestinian clans have roots in Kurdistan or Egypt. And in the Hebron Mountains, there's a tradition originating from Jewish heritage. Throughout history, the land called Palestine has been ruled by various groups, including Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Fatimids, Seljuk Turks, Crusaders, Egyptians, and Mamelukes. From 1517 to 1917, the Ottoman Empire controlled most of the region. After World War I in 1918, Britain took control of Palestine. The League of Nations issued the British Mandate for Palestine, granting administrative control, including provisions for establishing a Jewish homeland, which took effect in 1923. In 1947, after over 2 decades of British rule, the United Nations proposed a plan to divide Palestine into 2 independent states, a Jewish state and an Arab state. Jerusalem, claimed as the capital by both Jews and Palestinian Arabs, was to be an international area with special status. Jewish leaders accepted the plan, but many Palestinian Arabs, who had been actively opposing British and Jewish interests since the 1920s, strongly opposed it. They argued that they represented the majority in certain areas and deserved more land, forming volunteer forces across Palestine. Tzipi Livni, 1958, a senior Israeli politician who served as the Minister of Justice of Israel 2013, once stated in an international forum that there are no longer descendants of Canaan. According to her, they were all annihilated by the children of Israel during the attack on Jericho led by Joshua. Read Joshua 6. The irony lies in the statement of Fathi Hamid, the Minister of Interior and National Security of Hamas, on March 23, 2012. We have families called al-Masri who originate from Egypt. They might be from Alexandria, from Cairo, from Damietta, from the north, from Aswan, from Upper Egypt. We are Egyptians. We are Arabs. We are Muslims. We are part of you. Personally, half of my family is Egyptian, and the other half is Saudi. From both statements, it appears that there is no ethnic group called Palestinians. They are indeed of Arab descent from Egypt and Saudi Arabia, occupying the region called Palestine. It's not precisely known whether the Philistines in the Old Testament are identical to today's Palestinians, possibly the same or perhaps different. There is an opinion that the Arab people currently residing in the Palestinian territories are not descendants of the Philistine nation. This is because the Philistine nation supposedly ceased to exist since the rule of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. The current Palestinians are considered Arab, Semitic people, Shemite lineage living there. Here are the reasons supporting this view. Despite the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine, the Bible states that the Israelites, in claiming the Promised Land, did so not from the Palestinians but from the Canaanites. And the original name of the region was Canaan, when the Hebrews came from Mesopotamia, and the Philistines from the Mediterranean Sea. The Canaanite people eventually vanished. Through various wars, the Philistine people were defeated and expelled to the north by the Israelites. The territory was then divided into Judea and Samaria. The Israelite kingdom split into two. Later, when King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon invaded the region, it came under Jewish control. The Jews eventually regained their independence from the Seleucid dynasty of Syria, descendants of the Greeks, around 160 BCE until the arrival of the Romans. The Jews then revolted against Roman rule in the mid-1st century CE and were defeated. A second rebellion led by Simon Bar Kokhba in the early 2nd century CE also ended in defeat. In 135 CE, the Romans, under Tineius Rufus, governor of Judea, cleared the Temple Mount as a sign of the destruction of Jerusalem. The Romans expelled all Jews from the regions of Judea and Samaria, renaming the area Palestine. The Roman kingdom deliberately used the name Palestine because the Philistines were once enemies of the Hebrew descendants, Israel. Subsequently, people of Arab descent entered the region after the era of Muhammad in the 7th century CE. The Arab people controlled the region until it became predominantly Arab in descent, later referred to as Arab Palestine. In 1099 to 1118, during the Crusades, Jerusalem was conquered, and the Dome of the Rock was converted into a Christian church, with Al-Aqsa Mosque serving as a military headquarters. In 1187, Sultan Saladin recaptured Jerusalem for Islam, and in 1537, Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent renovated the Dome of the Rock. From 1917 to 1948, Jerusalem was under British control, leading to the establishment of Israel on May 14, 1948. However, access to the Western Wall or the Temple Mount remained restricted after Israel's independence in 1948. From 1958 to 1964, Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia contributed to the restoration of the Dome of the Rock. Another significant event occurred in 1967 during the Six-Day War, when Israel liberated the Temple Mount. This event revived hopes among the Israeli people to rebuild the temple, but it was thwarted when General Moshe Dayan ordered the lowering of the Israeli flag from the Dome of the Rock. Thus, the land of Canaan continues to be the battleground between Israel and present-day Palestine in their struggle for territorial control. Contemporary Jews and Israelis are not synonymous with Christians, and Palestinians are not synonymous with Muslims. The majority of Israelis are Jewish, with a small percentage being Christians. Additionally, a small part of Israel's population is Arab Muslims, Arab Israeli citizens constituting 16%. Palestinians are predominantly followers of Islam, with a minority being Christian Palestinians. There are Arab descendants who are Christians as well. Historical accounts, such as Eusebius' writing in the 3rd century AD, mentioned bishops in Arabia named Beryllus and Maximus. Other historical figures have noted Arabs who died as martyrs for Jesus Christ by the 4th century. Representatives from Arabia were present at the Council of Nicaea. Certainly, Jesus Christ, known as Yeshua HaMashiach in Aramaic and Isa al-Masih in Arabic, was already recognized there. It's essential not to forget that there were Arabs in Jerusalem during the formation of the early church.
Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God. Acts 2:11.